You are watching Bengals Breakdown by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Stone Shields. Coming up on today's show, Dane Brugler is back with his latest NFL mock draft after the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis last week. We're going to be breaking that down and who he has Cincinnati taking at number 17 overall. Before we get into that, make sure you guys like today's video for me right now if you want me to do another Cincinnati Bengals mock draft. I've done one at this point, and there has been some people out there saying we should do another one, and I certainly am open to that. Show your want for me to do that by liking today's show for me right now. All right, so this mock draft from Brugler does have a trade, and this is what the trade is. He's got the Giants trading up for that number 1 overall pick with the Tennessee Titans to get a quarterback, and he has the New York Football Giants taking Cam Ward at number 1 overall. He's got Abdul going to the Cleveland Browns there at number 2. Boy, would that cause some issues there for Cincinnati in the years to come. Travis Hunter, number 3 overall to the Tennessee Vikings. Number 4 overall, Armand Membou, offensive tackle for the Missouri Tigers. For me at the NFL Combine, that was the name that really popped the most to me. People absolutely love this kid, and clearly Brugler does as well. He's got him all the way into the top 5. Another offensive lineman here, Will Campbell, number 5 overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars, protecting Trevor Lawrence there. Ashton Jeanty at 6 to Vegas. I don't really get that at all. Seems a little bit early for Jeanty. Vegas has all kinds of holes, and they opt to go with running back here. Kind of an interesting selection there for me. Mason Graham, number 7 overall out of Michigan. Shamar Stewart, he's the traits guy, number 8 overall to Carolina. People were raving about him at the Combine as well. Tyler Warren, number 9 overall. I know some Bengals fans were hoping that Warren would fall to them at number 17. Brugler does not see that happening here in this mock draft. Tyler Booker, interior offensive lineman, goes early, number 10 to the Chicago Bears. Michael Williams, another guy on the Bengals radar, 11 to the San Francisco 49ers. Then Teteroa McMillan, 12 overall to the Dallas Cowboys. A few more here before Cincinnati selection. Nick Amonwori, safety out of South Carolina. He really blew some people away at the NFL Scouting Combine. Colston Loveland, tight end, 14 overall to the Colts. Jalen Walker to the Atlanta Falcons there at number 15. And then we'll call him Donovan E. Not even going to try on that last name there. Edge rusher out of Boston College. Bit of a surprise. Leads us to number 17 overall, and the Cincinnati Bengals take Will Johnson, another Michigan player in the draft in an early round for Duke Tobin. Zach Taylor and company, 17 overall. They've got them taking Will Johnson here. Dane Brugler does, again, his first kind of mock draft after the NFL Combine. I certainly have a lot of thoughts about this, mixed emotions, mixed opinions that we will get into here on today's show. But first, the pin comment of today's video. Would you draft Will Johnson at number 17 overall? Let me know in the comments section. Type Y for yes or N for no. If that ad comes here on YouTube, that's totally fine. Take advantage of it. Down in the comments, let us know what you think. All right, let's get into what Dane Brugler had to say in regards to Will Johnson. He said, I don't know if we'll ever see Johnson run a 40-yard dash. Michigan's Pro Day is scheduled for March 21st, which would be an issue for some teams. But with Johnson's fluidity and footwork, his tape shows a corner who should start immediately as an NFL rookie. Now, I will admit the last sentence does intrigue me, right? What have I always said here on Bengals Breakdown? I'm looking for that number 17 overall pick to be able to come in here and contribute immediately. Brugler thinks Johnson can be that guy. Again, certainly intriguing. But I also think, at the same time, it's time to switch up the approach a little bit if you are the Cincinnati Bengals. You love taking Michigan guys, and even more specific, you love taking Michigan DBs. Dax Hill, DJ Turner. First round, second round. Do you really want to go back to Michigan again? Take another first rounder? I've got a lot of optimism, right, that Dax Hill can develop into a really, really good player. And I think he was on the verge of a breakout season. We heard Duke Tobin at the Combine talk about Dax Hill really developing into a star. Unfortunately, he gets hurt, but another Michigan guy. I know it kind of seems silly to say that it's just, it's just the school he went to, whatever. That's fine. I personally would try to pivot off that. Now, in 2024, Johnson, only played 6 games, was dealing with some issues there. I believe he had a turf toe situation going on for Michigan. Only 6 games, didn't do a ton. That's kind of worrisome for me. Not necessarily the injury, but the 6 games in which he was out there, I don't think he was playing his best football. I think he was a guy that started out his career playing a lot better than he finished it, which is a bit concerning for me. Now, in 2023, he was lights out, right? Of course, Michigan went on to win the national title that year as well, and he certainly was a big reason why they were able to do that. Did a tremendous job against Ohio State as well. I always like to kind of evaluate players and how they do in their big games. He was elite against the Buckeyes, and he was good in the playoffs for Michigan as well. So I definitely get the intrigue in taking a guy like Will Johnson, who a lot of people believe is the best cornerback in this draft. Now, we'll continue with our Will Johnson conversation here in a moment. But first, a shout-out to our friends over at Fanatics. I want to let you guys know that Bengals Sideline hats are out now. They're available right now. Chatsports.com/Bengals Sideline. Go check them out. Got a few of these myself. Obviously, it's the offseason, but that doesn't mean you can't get some Cincinnati Bengals swag, courtesy of our friends over at Fanatics. By the way, that link will be in the comments section and the description of today's video. One more time, that's chatsports.com/Bengals Sideline. Talk some pros and cons here of drafting Will Johnson. Pro number 1, you need cornerback help, right? Need to address that room in free agency or the draft or via trade. Got to get better. Wasn't good enough last year. Again, a lot of hope with Dax Hill coming off a serious injury. We'll see how he does. Cam Taylor-Britt has regressed. He was not good last year. Josh Newton, got a lot of hope for him, but at the end of the day, he was a 5th-round pick. What does his ceiling realistically look like? Mike Hilton probably out the door as well. You need cornerback help. Also, another pro, he can contribute right now. We saw it in the quote from Dane Brugler. There's a lot of people around the league that Will Johnson is ready to rock right now. That's my biggest priority. I've said it a million times here on this show. I want the Bengals' number 17 overall pick to be able to come in and play right away. Not a project. Not another Myles Murphy. Can't afford that. Given where things are at with Joe Burrow and his career, got to go now. All gas, no brakes. Last pro here for Johnson. He comes from Michigan. He's a national champion. You know that I like this kind of stuff. I like when guys have played in big-time games, like when they've won big-time games as well. Playing in a national title game for Michigan, I think that atmosphere relates, in a lot of ways to what it'll be like in the NFL. Big-time player, played his best in those big-time games as well. Certainly a pro there for Johnson. Who do you want to draft at number 17 overall? Let me know in the comments section of today's video. Be honest with us here in the comments. Any position, any name, I'm here for it. I want to know what you guys think. Let's talk some cons here. We did our pros for Will Johnson. Let's talk some cons of drafting Will Johnson. Kind of what I talked about initially. You've been down this road before. You've taken Michigan guys and you've taken DBs. How has it worked out? Not ready to write any of them off, but I'm ready to try something different. Let's not just do the same thing each and every year. I feel like that's kind of what you're falling into if you take Johnson there at 17. Con number 2, he doesn't help your defensive line. Obviously, he's a cornerback. He's not a defensive lineman. Your defensive lineman was horrible last year, despite the fact you had arguably the best defensive player in the National Football League in Trey Henderson. Beyond that, it was not good. I want to allocate top-end resources to that entirety, interior and edge rusher. And obviously, in this mock, Brugler has Cincinnati not doing that. Lastly, is there too much youth in that room? You could really argue that along the interior of the defensive line as well. I understand that. But again, you got a lot of young guys in there. Maybe you want to add to your cornerback room via free agency as opposed to early in the draft. Don't have a problem with drafting a corner early. In fact, I don't have a problem drafting a corner in round 1 either. But, Mike Hilton probably going to be gone. Shoot, by the time this video is out, it might be official. We, of course, saw his post on social media about, all good things must come to an end, and there's going to be other opportunities down the road. So Bengals need to address that room. We'll see how they do it, whether it be through the draft, free agency, or a combination of both. Now, I know you guys have been waiting for this. Wanted to break down some guys that were also on the board when Brugler mocked Will Johnson to the Cincinnati Bengals. A couple of notable names here I want to talk about. Jihaad Campbell. We spent a lot of time talking about him. He's a guy at that linebacker spot. He can come in. He can play immediately. The thought of Jihaad Campbell next to Logan Wilson gets me fired up. Mike Green, of course, has the off-the-field concerns there with the sexual assault allegations. He's believed to be a really good player. If things off the field are, in a decent situation with Green, I think a lot of people would think about taking him. Derek Harmon, defensive tackle out of Oregon. He's a guy that can come in and contribute immediately. Gray Zabel, one of the highest-rated interior offensive linemen out of North Dakota State. And, of course, Jahdae Barron as well, who some people consider to be cornerback 1 over Will Johnson. 3 more names we will discuss here. Kenneth Grant was still available to you. He, of course, also a Michigan guy as well. And 2 guys I want to touch on here, James Pierce Jr. and Malaki Starks. Both guys that seemingly the Bengals have had a lot of interest in, but Brugler had both of these guys not getting picked in the first round. I still have a lot of question marks with James Pierce Jr. I'm not sure he can be out there for 3 downs, more of a pass rush specialist. Certainly it needs to develop into his frame as well. As you guys know by now, I am all about Malaki Starks. Really think he's going to be a great NFL player. The fact that he wasn't drafted in the first round, I get he didn't test the greatest, but that is hard for me to wrap my mind around. Final synopsis here from me. People across the league, people that talk about football for a living, scouts, GMs, whoever, they would say it would be a steal to get Will Johnson at number 17 overall. But me personally, I'm passing on Will Johnson. I think it's time you try something new, not necessarily just a different school, but just let's try a different position here. I think you can do better, even if he falls in your lap at number 17. Am I going to be up in arms and, be going off if they ultimately select Will Johnson? No, but I'm just ready to alter my approach a little bit, and I think Cincinnati is going to have an opportunity to do that, and I hope they choose to do so. If you made it to the end of this video, we appreciate you. You are a real one. Get your Jahdaes in the comments section right now.